Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at Ask Adam Torres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Dexter B. Jenkins on the line. He's a faith-based financial mentor and principal over at DBJ Enterprises. Dexter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic with you, Dexter. So we're going to talk about the intersection of faith, finance, and business and how it relates. But before we do that, I want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at DBJ Enterprises. Tell us a little bit more about your firm, please.
Yeah, what we do at DBJ Enterprise is that we put together, educational products, podcasts, online courses, and books, that really allow people to, feel good also about their faith, but also feel good about their finances. And so that's basically what we do.
And that's the reason why I wanted you on the show, because you're the guy for this. So the intersection of faith, finance, and business and how they all relate, I mean, it's a big topic. We're only going to be able to do so much on a little 10 to 15-minute podcast, but where do you want to start with this one?
Well, I think, Adam, you start at the fact that, part of my life is, I've always been obviously a man of faith, but I've also been very interested in finance. And so what the biggest challenge I found that people have when they're looking at either their finances, that they figure that they have to choose either one or the other. And so part of what our job is to do is to be able to let people know that it's okay for them to do, well as they're doing good in society.
Yeah, it's a thing. I know that people, have trouble with that. So sometimes the idea of doing well or not doing well, or how much you give, how much you don't give. I mean, it's kind of, there is that intersection in that thing that sometimes is or is not right. So what do you think people do to kind of live a life that walks, both of those two things? Because it's not always easy, I don't think.
No, it's definitely a balancing act, and I think when you look at, I'm my faith is I'm a Christian. I'm also a pastor, and so I deal with congregates and people all the time outside of what I do at DBJ Enterprises, and I just see the struggle that people have, and if you look at, I'm coming at obviously from the perspective of the Bible, so I use that as my source. It's full of financial scriptures, and it's full of things that, if you use it and implement it, will help you do well financially as well as in your other parts of your life. And so, I believe that God really wants us to do well financially as well as in every area of our life. And so that's how you balance the two.
So for some of the people listening, they're thinking about their finances. What are some of the things that you kind of teach, whether it's to your congregants or otherwise? Like, what are some of those financial tools that you equip people with?
Well, basically, I have, just to give you a little background, Adam, I had over 20 years of life insurance experience selling investments, just in financial services. And then also I'm a managing partner of a real estate company now. And so I call myself a pastorpreneur, I'm a pastor with an entrepreneurial tendency, so to speak. And I think what I found is that because there's so much information and so many different ways that you can go, I came up with something that I call the SHIP method. And so I try to boil down to you being financially in three areas. If you can, stewardship, I call it stewardship. I call it ownership and entrepreneurship, meaning if you can steward your money well, meaning that when money comes into your hands, that you do the right things with it. And so the key to that part of your finances is really having a spending plan. Other people call it a budget, but I call it a spending plan. Really, you're telling your money what to do. And then ownership, make sure that you're owning the right things. We all own things, but are they the right things? And so you're looking at assets versus liabilities there. And then for those who are entrepreneurial, they may come up with a product or service that they take out to the marketplace that solves problems for individuals at a profit. And so when I say just cut through all of the noise, stewardship, ownership, and entrepreneurship, and if we can do those three things well, you can build wealth and reach your highest financial potential.
First of all, I've never heard that term, and I love it. The preneur, the pastorpreneur, I love it. And when you said it, it hit me in my head. It hit me in my head like a ton of bricks, because I was like, it's genius when you're teaching financial concepts because you also have the background. So what I mean by that, though, is that you have both sides. You've dedicated your life to, obviously, number one, to your religion and your faith, number one, but also you do have this other skill set that you are blessed with and that you're able to give. And because you're able to do that in coming from a thought process of logic, but also a faith-based thought process, you have, in my opinion, the opportunity to reach more people and to help more people on a deeper level. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I for some time I've always thought that they don't have to be mutually exclusive, which our society has taught us in many respects. I remember being at a conference just recently, maybe in the fall, and we was at actually my wife she was speaking at the conference, and I just went to go support her. And a woman came up to me and said, what do you do? And I started talking. So I'm a pastor. And then she started going on and said, well, I understand pastors don't do well financially and all that, And so it shifted the conversation completely. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be exclusive. You can be a pastor, or you can, really feel good about your faith, but you can also do well financially. And so just get it. To me, I find that, Adam, that is the biggest thing you got to get across people's mind. It's okay for you to do both.
Man, that's awesome. So Dexter, that being said, if somebody is listening to this, so final question, so two-part question. If somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about DBJ Enterprises and to learn more about the educational materials and things that you put out, what's the best? What is typically the right type of investor that is typically a good fit for your materials? Number one, and number two, what's the best way for them to reach out and to connect and to start engaging with your content?
Okay, well, let me start with the latter question first. The best way to connect with me is, the normal thing, LinkedIn. I'm on that. We are DexterBJenkins.com. And then we're also all on the social media, the Facebook and Twitter. So if you go DexterBJenkins.com there first, and then you can also go to LinkedIn and then the other ones I mentioned. But then I would say our products are really designed for people who I usually my target audience is between, say, 35 to 55, folks who really want some easy to implement actionable steps in order to move forward in their finance, because I believe that the key is to give people things that they can hear 1 minute and implement the next, so they can get some confidence.
That's awesome. Big fan of actionable items and things that people can do now and not have to spend a lifetime learning. It's like, do this and you'll get a result. I'm a big fan of that. Micro learning is good. So, hey, Dexter, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great things that you're doing, and really coming from a faith-based financial mentor perspective. I mean, it's a great, great work. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Dexter, thanks again for coming on the show.